Our boy Terragreen is back flipping rocks, but this time he's in a rainforest.
What will he find after he flips 100 rocks? Let's find out.
Outside in Rainforest, there's tons of random objects like this rock, which when you flip them, you'll find life you would have never known existed.
It's not even raining!
Random insects, but in this video, I'll be flipping 100 different rocks in the Puerto Rican rainforest.
Whoa.
Find all sorts of weird lizards, venomous spiders, and even crazy snakes you've never seen before.
However, yo, we gotta give Terragreen a huge shout out, okay? He's traveling to the rainforest and flipping rocks by himself. He has no security, bro. He could get diddied out there. Make sure you guys leave a like if you want to see more Terragreen.
What kind of Jamba Juice is Jack drinking right now?
I'm still pretty close to a city, but as I travel deeper and deeper into the rainforest, the animals get cooler and cooler. And maybe at the end, we'll even be able to find extremely rare ones.
Yeah, there's some big animals in the rainforest.
Over to object number 2, and literally right under the piece of wood was this insane alien-looking creature.
What is that? I think he got this in a previous video before.
We watched a whole video on it. Yeah, the tailless whip scorpion.
Yes.
Tailless whip scorpion. So that's a scorpion or is that a spider?
It's a scorpion, Alec, and it's what they based the like one of the aliens from Alien vs Predator on.
Yes.
But it doesn't even have a stinger. What kind of wimpy dimpy scorpion is that?
It's a tailless whip scorpion.
Yes, it's literally in the name what it is.
That's like being an elephant without having a trunk. That's so lame.
I'm sure their name would be like No Trunk Elephant.
Alec is acting all tough right now, but if he was stuck in a room with 10 of those things, he would be crying like a little girl.
I saw him one time
on my screen. It's not in person.
Dude, I saw Alec one time with like a daddy long leg next to his foot, and he literally almost burned down the entire house.
We're talking about different daddy long legs then.
All right, let's go.
Called tailless whip scorpions, and I've actually made entire videos about keeping these guys as pets. It's crazy we already found something this weird and rare, and so I continued exploring. Eventually, I came across object number 3, which underneath had this weird looking white worm thing. But in fact, this is not a worm at all. It's a baby beetle. Basically, over time, these little larvas will...
It's just the way it started moving.
Dude, he just flipped over its house like it's Patrick Star, and he was just sunbathing down there, like...
Oh, no, this is...
He's like a bear when it's rubbing against a tree.
Put that back! Put my house back!
I mean, that's basically all 3 of us when we get woken up before 9 a.m. We are lifeless.
We are nature. I mean, animals are just us.
Adam's middle name is beetle larva.
Basically, over time, these little larvas will start to mutate and eventually break out of their shell and become a beetle.
Wow, that's pretty
and this
cool.
one is absolutely massive, so it's probably going to turn into some giant mutant
I wouldn't eat that for $1 million.
with a massive horn.
That's a
Hopefully
rhinoceros
we'll find one of
beetle.
those later, but anyways, I went and flipped rock 4, which had nothing underneath. From now on, I'm not going to show anything with nothing, so it'll just be constant cool rainforest animals. And that's exactly what I found with rock number 7, because underneath was this weird white thing in a hole.
Whoa, careful.
That has to be a spider, and some of them like carry the eggs on their back. So this could be a wolf spider, maybe.
It's an egg sack.
Luckily, Terragreen has a giant
my
battle
gosh,
axe
dude. Yeah,
for
what the
any
heck?
creatures that come close.
What was he prepared for?
If anyone was wondering, the blade is 5/8 inches.
That's
pretty
the
big.
thickness.
around the dirt a bit, I realized this was actually a wolf spider's hole.
I called that.
Adam's a genius.
Well, that's its egg sac, and soon it'll hatch into hundreds of mini spiders.
That is a nightmare,
She
bro.
was super defensive and did not leave the egg sac at all. So I put her home back and kept exploring.
I wouldn't either.
Soon
I
after,
never leave my
came
sack
across
behind.
the next object.
That's like Alec when he gets his 8 slices of pizza when he comes
What
home.
are you talking
Yeah,
about
one
right
time
now?
I walked up to Alec and then he was like,
Yeah, I literally asked for a slice one time. Like, then he'd only have 7. But no, he couldn't get up a slice. He started barking at me. He's like, "Arr! Arr!"
Alec did the same thing to me, but he was on the toilet one time when he started barking. It was crazy.
Does anyone actually believe you two? Does anyone actually believe what you're saying anymore?
I believe Adam. Adam, do you believe me?
I believe you. I believe you, Jack.
Yes, sir. All right, there we go.
Me
This is
too.
insane. Slander.
When I tried to flip it, well, it kind of broke
Oh.
apart in my hands.
Oh,
And
there's
this happened
definitely
because
termites
if
in
you
there.
take a
Where are
closer
his
look
gloves?
on here, there's tons of these little white bugs crawling all over it. These are termites, which you probably
Termites.
already know eat wood like this. They'll literally just set up their
Jump, jump,
entire
jump, jump,
colonies
jump.
inside
This
of
is
these dead
nightmares.
logs and just eat them from the inside out. Now, under object number 10, I found the coolest thing so far.
Whoa!
shoot.
Snake?
What is that?
Worm?
See, on the bottom
Eel?
side of the log, I saw this little tail thing poking out from under the
That might be a
bark. At
salamander.
first, I thought it was some sort of worm, but if you look closely, you can see it has a
Lizard?
bunch of tiny little scales on
Could
it.
be a
so
rattlesnake?
It can't be a worm. So there was only one thing to do: get out the backpack. You see, in
Yes.
the backpack, I've packed tons of items to be able to interact with the wildlife out
Spray
there.
foam,
And the first
spray
item
foam.
we're taking out is these tweezers.
I don't know
Using the
about that,
tweezers,
Jack.
I started to peel back some of the bark on the log until it eventually revealed
What the?
animal. It really looked so much like
What
a worm,
the?
but you can tell by
That thing
how
is
it was
cool.
slithering around.
That looks
It's
like
not a snake. It's a different version of a snake. I forget what they're called.
if there was an evolution between a worm and a snake, it would be this. Like this is the
A snorm.
a squirm. A snorm.
It's a type of lizard. It's like a legless lizard. I don't know what it's called though.
It's a wizard. You're a wizard, Harry.
No, it is, but it's a legless lizard. It's not a snake, but it's a lizard, but it doesn't have a leg.
A legless lizard is a snake.
Jack's making me mad.
complete
Jack's actually
different
making
You're
me
making me so
variation.
mad. Yeah, this is not a snake.
Yeah, dude, it's a lizard. What kind of, like, what are you saying is a lizard?
Just wait.
All right, let's see.
That it was actually a snake. These are called Brahmini blind snakes, and they're the smallest
All right.
species in the whole
All right, hold on, guys. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Comment down below. There are things that are not snakes, that are lizards, that are legless. Guys, everybody watching
paused
knows.
the video and swore that's a lizard to us. That's crazy. Oh, wow, that's good.
All right.
Dude, there
Oh,
are.
that's
There
good.
are.
No, it's
Just
all right.
trust
It's all
me,
right.
guys.
Yeah, Jack,
just
you're
take
good.
an
Jack,
L.
you're good.
Just
Yeah,
take
you're
the L
good.
and move on. Just take the L and move
can't
on.
win
Jack.
them all today.
That's a snake, but it could have been. Hold on, I gotta figure out what it's called
Put
now.
your hand up right now and admit that you're wrong, and we move on. That's all it is.
I was wrong this time about that particular thing. However, I am right about the other thing that I was talking about.
Guy just can't. He can't be wrong.
Can't
guys.
take an L.
Jack could never be wrong.
Guys, comment down below. What is it called? It's a legless lizard that looks like a snake, but it's not a snake.
world. Species in the whole world. Basically, this species spends their whole life underground just like worms do. And a fun fact about them is they're all female. Basically, they have the ability to clone their genes into an egg, and that's how more snakes are born. So if you ever see one of these in the wild, just know it has the same exact
That's
genes
insane.
as this
looks
one
like a
does.
leech.
It's pretty crazy. Blind
wait.
snakes, and they're
It clones itself.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Guys, I thought it was a glass snake. I figured it out.
Oh my gosh.
Dude,
Glass snake
move on, Jack.
is not
It's
actually a
okay.
real snake. I just wanted everybody watching to know that I thought it was a glass snake. Everybody
Nobody
Google-
cares.
Oh my!
Google
Literally,
glass
we
snake.
moved on, Jack.
Google
Nobody cares.
glass snake. It looks exactly like this.
Not one
crazy.
person
Now, by
was
this point,
worried.
I reached my first little water section of the trail, which was absolutely beautiful.
Well, dang, I don't really know if you can hear me, but this is a pretty nice area as you can see. But basically, I just want to see if I can see something under the water with the GoPro.
Now, obviously, GoPros are waterproof, which lets me do this.
Whoa.
And at first, it was kind of just a cloudy mess, but then this fish came out of nowhere. Knowing that there was at least one fish down here, I put the camera back under and figured out that there was a whole school of them. However, since the water was
Let's go,
so
Terra
cloudy,
Green.
I couldn't really tell the species, so I walked down alongside the river for a little bit until it got a bit clearer, and then I stuck my GoPro underneath again. This time, there was
snails.
even more of those same fish, and now I could clearly see that these were mountain mullets, which are a species native to these Puerto Rican rainforests. You see, this species is really cool because they actually are born in oceans. And once they're born, they swim up the rivers into Puerto Rico to get to these remote rainforest streams. Then, when it's time to lay eggs, they swim back to the ocean and repeat the process.
Wait, I didn't realize that fish could do that.
They can swim against stream. That fish has to be one of the strongest fish.
The ocean, which is saltwater, to the river, which is freshwater. How does it do that?
I don't know.
There's the saltwater fishies, and then there's freshwater fishies. But I didn't realize that they could be like a hybrid.
Yeah, I don't know. Alex? I don't know why I said Alex's name. He's
Confusing my brain.
he looks like he just got hit with a confusion spell. Confusion.
Freshwater. Saltwater? Freshwater.
Yeah, I don't know.
So by the
You
way,
learn something
right
new
next to
every
these
day.
fish were a ton of these little aquatic snails, which are super important for the environment because they eat up all the
Hey, yo.
algae. Anyways, a bit later, I came
people say
across
I'm
this
like a
rock
snail.
with a little lizard sitting on top.
That's a
When I got
lizard, guys.
close, it, of
That's
course,
a
ran
lizard.
away, but I figured
Thanks,
this was
Jack.
a good omen, so I flipped it, and underneath there was nothing. But since that lizard was sitting on top of the rock, I figured that underneath of it could actually be its home. So I had an idea, and I got out the backpack, and inside I took out this little container of super worms. Then I basically put a bunch of them onto my hand and just put them under the rock in case the lizard wanted to eat some of them. Now I was just gonna leave them and walk away, but then I
my
noticed that
gosh.
same exact lizard that was sitting on
Whoa,
top
nice.
of the
He came
rock
back.
had actually already ran over and ate one of the worms. And yeah, he was enjoying it a ton. You're welcome, buddy. There's more where that came from. And speaking of lizards eating stuff, nearby I also went and flipped this rock that had nothing underneath, but out of the corner of my eye, I noticed another lizard. And this guy instantly went on the run and started parkouring across the
He's
rock
got something in his
to get
mouth.
away from me. But
Look at him
Eventually,
go.
I did get a closer
like the
look,
gecko
and I
from the
realized
commercials.
This was a green anole lizard, and it looked like there was something actually massive in its mouth. And the thing
I love these types of lizards because I used to catch them all the time in Florida. And then every time that you actually grab their tail, the tail can detach. So like if you even like get close to grabbing it, it'll like yoink and then its tail will fall off.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
But that's its defense mechanism for if it gets attacked by a bird. Because a lot of birds might think it's a worm, their tail. So then the bird goes for what they think is a worm, and then they detach it. The problem is, though, Jack, is that it takes them a long time to regenerate that tail. And so every time that you ripped off their tail, they no longer had a defense mechanism for the next couple of weeks, maybe months. And then
I was
they
doing
might
them a
have
favor.
died.
I was doing them a favor so that the birds don't go for them anymore, because if they don't have tails, then they don't have anything that looks like worms. And I was also 10 years old and I just wanted to have one as a pet, so I was trying to catch it.
No, that's honestly respectable because I did the exact same thing, and that's why I know that.
Yeah, their tails shrivel up too, and sometimes when you take them off, they still move around.
They still wiggle, yeah.
Really weird.
And the thing
But I have
sticking
no
out of
idea what's in its mouth.
Kind of looked like the belly of another lizard, which would make sense because these green anole lizards are cannibalistic killers. And when they're hungry, they'll
Whoa.
just straight up eat
you guys
their
know that?
friends. Yeah, talk about
they
big
eat their
brain,
babies
am I right?
sometimes.
Anyways, a bit later, I flipped this rock here, and underneath, I found my first ant colony. You see, ant colonies are a bit rarer in rainforests like this, which is why I didn't see any up to this point. So it was a kind of cool find.
The
And then the
larva.
rock I flipped right after also had another ant colony
More
of the
ants.
same exact species.
It's probably the
now,
same
I'm pretty
ants.
sure this species is called big-headed ants, which I can tell because as you can see, some of the workers have massive heads that are like
Oh
3
my
times the
God.
size of normal workers.
They're 10
This
times the
happens
size.
because at birth, the normal worker ants find the biggest and strongest pupa and spray a special pheromone on them. Then as the pupa grow older and older, they just grow up with massive heads and help move around some of the larger
that's what they
stuff
did to
that the
Alex's
small
mom when
workers
Alec was in
can't.
there.
I just got that. That's good. I'll give you that. Jack's back. Jack's back on my good side.
I'm just saying, you can't confirm or deny that, Alec. You have no idea. You were just a baby.
In this case, the big-headed workers were helping move the eggs back underground since I moved their rock. Sorry guys, let me put that back. Now by this point, I was starting to get deeper into the rainforest, so we should start to expect the animals to get cooler and cooler. And that was actually shown because the very next thing I flipped had a proper snake behind it. As you can see, it was a little bit camera shy because it instantly slithered into the bushes.
How does he not have
before I could
gloves
get
on?
a good look. So I got out the backpack, and inside I packed this snake hook. Basically, people use these snake hooks to pick up deadly venomous snakes so they don't get bit. And obviously, I didn't want to
That's a
get
good
bit,
idea.
so using
That
the
snake
hook,
is
I
fully
started
gone
to dig
now.
around in the
Where's
grass
Tara
it
Green's
slithered
mom?
into and tried to look for it. But unfortunately,
back
the
at the
hook
resort?
just ended up breaking.
What?
But this was still a good sign for
That's
cool rare
crazy.
animals, and trust me, we'll be finding more snakes very soon. Now, the next rock I flipped had this weird little fuzzy worm under it. Now, even after searching online, I couldn't really figure out what this is. I thought it could be like a
like a
moth
fruit.
cocoon, but I'm pretty sure those only grow on trees, so comment if you know what this is. But behind that crawled out this
There's a
little
beetle.
bug, which, I have experience with
Roly-poly.
these guys
I
a
hate
lot.
these
These are
beetles.
called isopods, and they're sometimes called roly-polies because they roll up into a ball when threatened. But I love these guys
love
because
it.
I always put them in the terrariums I build at home because they eat all the dead matter and keep everything clean. So yeah, thanks for existing,
They're
guys.
like little bug
I kept
armadillos.
on venturing through the rainforest and eventually came across this fence with a few bricks laid on the floor under it. It looked like the perfect spot for animals to be hiding under, and I was right because under that first brick was this massive beetle. And after getting a closer look, I could tell this
that a
was
stink
some
bug?
sort of rhinoceros.
That's like the grandmaster of beetles. Any beetle that's like growing up and needs like a sensei probably gets guided to go to this guy or gets advised to go to this guy. Under the cinder block rock is where you will find Grandmaster Popo.
He would be like a good transportation beetle. Like all the little beetles get on him and then they go to school.
He's probably so juicy if you try to eat him.
Why? Like, what is wrong with you, dude? Why would you say that?
I thought we were all
I don't
just
agree
saying
with
a cool
Adam,
fact.
but it does kind of spark a question in me. Like, you know how they make gummy worms and then like gummy sharks? Why don't they make gummy beetles?
They probably do.
Good point.
Out in like Vietnam or something. I can see it.
I've never been, so I
everything.
wouldn't know.
Some crazy stuff goes down in Vietnam.
Beetle, which are called rhinoceros beetles because the males grow these massive horns on their head,
Whoa.
which they
Hey,
use to
yo.
fight each other with. But this is a female, which is why it doesn't have a horn. In fact, if you remember that massive beetle
Unfortunate.
larva from earlier, I think that actually turns into one of these.
No
So
chance.
yeah,
It
that's
could.
pretty cool that we
No,
got to
no,
find
it
one of
does.
these.
It
Under
does.
the next brick was this little centipede bug, and under the third brick was this little slug. I'm not sure what species this is, but I left my phone pointing at it
Looks
for a
so
couple
dry.
minutes and got this cool time-lapse footage of it slugging around. Now, as I kept on venturing,
Bye,
I
slug.
found a cool bug under this rock. At first, I know you can't really see anything, but if I zoom in and
jumping
highlight
spider?
this spot here, there's actually
it's
a
a cricket.
cave cricket right here. which
Got
is
it.
a
Oh, I'm on. I'm so
These
on.
guys are
Sniped.
cool because they they basically have the ability to teleport when they sense
Whoa!
danger. Yeah, they really just move so fast that it looks like teleportation.
God.
That's pretty crazy. But this next rock I flipped had something I've never seen before.
Earthworm.
Right
Centipede?
there, you can tell that there was a little worm under the dirt, but above and to
It's
the
like
left
cut
of
open.
it was this weird little white thing. I thought at first it could be like a termite or
touch it.
something, but after getting a closer look, I realized it
What do you guys think it is?
A
It
balloon.
looks like some sort of egg sac.
Yeah, it's gotta be. I think it's a cocoon for a
I think it's a
butterfly.
water balloon that someone left there.
resembled the shape of a worm egg sac. For some reason, I just never thought that worms came out of eggs. Yeah, apparently this is what it looks like when
Called
they're
it.
born. They just gotta rip their way out of an egg.
Worms
Dang,
come
that's
out of
cool.
an egg.
Now, by this
Egg
point on the
sac.
trail, I had gotten to this little section of paved road, and while I was walking on it, I ended up coming
Whoa,
across
whoa, whoa,
this.
whoa! Why is it blurred?
Wait, look at this. Oh, shoot.
Oh,
Is it
probably
dead?
got
It's
run
dead.
But if you're
over.
wondering why it's not moving and blurred,
Oh.
well, that's because it was actually run over by a car.
dang, bro, that
Unfortunately,
stinks.
accidents like this are
Sheesh.
What is funny about that, Adam?
It's not funny. It's just.
Adam,
Really?
come on,
'Cause you're
bro.
laughing right
It's
now.
not funny. It's not funny.
Okay, so what are you laughing at then if this is not funny?
It's not.
That is so messed up. That is so messed up, Adam.
That's
Poor snake.
poor guy.
on roads, but this is still a good sign for finding more cool animals like this. And thankfully, that's exactly what I found as I made it back to the trail. You see, the first rock I flipped, I saw a little burrow.
there's a
underneath,
cave.
But I didn't even realize that there was something sitting on the rock I was.
Oh my god!
God!
I did not see
Oh my god!
spider camouflage
Oh my
on
God!
this rock right now.
This is actually a Puerto Rican
Dude, my reaction would be times 10. That he was just like, oh no, my gosh, there was a spider there. I would be like, holy crap! Woo!
I would have went straight to the backpack and might have gotten my flamethrower out.
Puerto Rican tarantula.
I wouldn't have used it unless it attacked me first. Self-defense.
Oh my gosh, dude.
It looks a little smaller than a normal tarantula.
Is anybody else's body like fully tingling right now?
No.
No.
But I do know for a fact that thing is probably pretty good at baseball.
Do you see its two little eyeballs on the top of its head? Its eyeballs are so tiny.
It only has two? I thought they have like.
But they
12.
might have more, but I see two of them.
Hello.
Like at the front of its head.
Don't some of them have eyes on their butts?
Yeah, let's find out.
tarantula, and they're extremely rare to just find out in the open in the
Dude,
day.
get
like
a
this.
glove.
Yeah, they usually spend their entire days underground in some sort of burrow. For this tarantula, I had to get out the backpack, and from inside, I once again pulled out this
Flamethrower.
container of super worms. Then, using some tweezers, I basically just
Careful.
started to wave around the worms in front of the
Careful.
tarantula's face to see if he'd eat them. And yeah, it didn't really seem like he was liking it too much, because he got really defensive and ran into his burrow. He even started to run towards me, and since these guys are venomous, I did not want to make him any more angry, and I put
the rock back.
on top.
Sorry, buddy. I'll leave you alone now.
Anyways, I kept flipping random objects as I continued down the trail and wasn't finding many animals for a while. But I did find some pretty random stuff, like just a whole
big leaf.
fruit
What the-
under this leaf, which was like kind of mushy and moldy, so I didn't try and eat it. And also, while walking, I found this weird bone thing on the side of the trail. I'm not 100% sure what this bone belongs to, but
It's
I
a
do know
dog
Puerto
treat.
Rico used to have some like wild pigs running around back in the day, which I guess this would make sense if this was a pig bone. But
Boomba.
let me know in the comments if you're a bone expert.
Imagine he is just doing like this friendly video and he actually finds like a dead body.
Thanks for that, Adam.
I feel like he would call the cops.
Yeah, but like imagine.
I think he would call Logan Paul, ask him what to do.
Logan Paul can WWE slam the body.
This video took a turn.
Not really.
Anyway,
Now,
comment
under
down below
Object
what bone that
92,
is.
there was this little millipede, but also right next to it was this weird black bug I've never seen before. But I figured out it's called a
it has
rogue
two
beetle, and what
stingers.
makes them so cool are these spikes on their back. You see, when they dig under the dirt a bit, they poke out those spikes on their back to mimic little claws or pinchers poking out of the dirt, which will scare away predators. Also,
really, it's his
apparently
butt
they have
cheeks.
wings they can just unfold like a
Spiky
robot and
booty
let them
cheeks.
fly away. I have no
That
idea
thing is a
how nature
transformer.
evolved to do this. Now, by this point, I was starting to get worried because it was starting to get late, and I knew there were still bigger tarantulas and scorpions to be found out here. And yeah, the next few rocks I flipped also had nothing, but that was until object number 96
Careful.
when I found this. It was another tarantula, and this one is actually a Puerto Rican pink-toed tarantula, which is a slightly different species.
Okay, now this is cool. It's bigger than that first tarantula we just
super
found.
cool.
Since this
Not
guy's
cool.
a bit bigger, I think I actually have something in the backpack for it.
From inside, I pulled
Terragreen.
out this stick, which actually lets me attach my GoPro camera to it.
He's gonna
Basically, I
get
want to
nice and
use
close.
this stick to get the GoPro super close to the tarantula without having to worry about getting bit, and that's exactly what I did. Because I went and gently nudged the leg of the tarantula with the GoPro,
Dude,
and it
he's so
actually woke
close.
up. Then I bumped it again, and this time it
Get it in
ran around to
focus.
the other side of the log. Finally, I just waved it around
What is
a
this
bit more in
POV?
front of him, and he wasn't really doing
Focus.
anything. To be honest, I don't really really know what I expected. And now, as you can see, I
was
was
it.
getting pretty near the end of the
That was way
trail.
too close
and
for
underneath
comfort.
some of the final objects, I was finding no new animals. And eventually, it got time to flip object 100. So I looked around.
He's
got
gotta
to
make this juicy.
While I was exploring, I actually came across this dirt area with this metal piece of trash in the middle. Of course, I looked inside of it to see if there was
Super
anything,
rusty.
and I didn't see anything at first. But for some reason, I decided to turn on my phone flashlight to double check. And that's when I found this. It's a scorpion. And not only was there that, because when I moved the trash to get a better angle at the scorpion,
More?
I found a second scorpion also on the
Double
walls of this
scorpion.
trash. These are
Double
Puerto Rican
scorpion.
bark scorpions, and they've actually got
Why are they all called Puerto Rican? Blah blah blah.
Because they
So
live
he's
in
in Puerto Rico.
Is that what like all animals are called? So like outside, I have an American squirrel.
North American.
Oh really? Like for real? Is
Yeah.
that's the name?
Yeah,
of
a lot of animals are named like North American, blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
Dude,
Did you
I
know?
actually can't believe you.
Wow.
That's not every single animal, but like there's an African elephant, for example, the Asian elephant, the German shepherd, the Australian shepherd.
From Australia.
Can I
Like
be-
seriously,
can I be
Adam,
the-
I mean, come on. You're 24?
Can I?
How do you not know this?
Can my name be North American Adam?
North American humpback Adam. Yes.
I'll take that.
pretty painful stings.
Bro, this is so insane. This whole time I've been trying to find scorpions. And literally on
Canned
object
scorpion.
100, this is where the scorpions are. Well, hey, I'm not complaining because I've packed something in the backpack specifically
What?
for if I found these guys,
PB&J.
and it's a flashlight. Now, you may already know this, but if you turn on the
genius.
flashlight and go through the modes or something, eventually
Strobe
it'll
light?
turn blue or purple,
Oh,
as you can see.
glow in
And
the
now,
dark.
If we go and shine this
UV
inside
light.
of
That's
here,
Whoa!
That is really
scorpions
cool.
are
That
able
is
to
sick.
glow
Epic.
in the dark. That's how you know
Epic.
these are real scorpions, everybody.
If you saw my last video about rock flipping, you know this is the
did,
same
I did.
exact way it ended. Because I had
I
found
watched it 3
scorpions
times.
on one of the last objects and made them glow in the dark. Which it's kind of poetic in a way that it ended the same way.
Well, hey, I guess that's Rock 100. We're done. But to celebrate, I actually have one last thing, baby. You see, in this backpack,
Spray foam!
I packed the new Terra Green mode.
Hey.
Check this
Whoa!
out. Today,
Cop,
you can
cop,
get this
cop,
cool
cop.
little
All right, guys, I gotta
it's
go.
basically
I'm
got
buying
the
it.
animals-
Jack, buy it now. And while Jack's buying that, if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it, then click this video right here.